Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this presentation, I will explain the scapulohumeral muscles or rotator cuff muscles, which are also named as intrinsic shoulder muscles. See here in this diagram, we have many muscles which are intrinsic shoulder muscles, or they are acting just like the rotator cuff muscles. Okay, so we will discuss all these muscles in this presentation. The 6 scapulohumeral muscles, which are deltoid, teres major, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and teres minor muscles. They are relatively short muscles that pass from the scapula to the humerus and act on the shoulder joint. See here, or act on the glenohumeral joint. These are named as scapulohumeral because they are coming from scapula and they are inserted over the humerus. They are intrinsic shoulder muscles. When we will remove the above muscles, which are anterior and posterior axiopendicular muscles, then only we can see the scapulohumeral muscles. That's why they are named as intrinsic shoulder muscles. Extrinsic shoulder muscles were trapezius, latissimus dorsi, levator scapulae, and rhomboids muscle, which were posterior axioappendicular muscles, and I have described those muscles in another presentation. First of all, we will discuss the deltoid muscle. Can you see here in this diagram? This is deltoid muscle, which is a thick, powerful, coarse textured muscle covering the shoulder and forming its rounded contour. See here, this is a rounded muscle. As its name indicates, the deltoid is shaped like the inverted delta, inverted Greek letter delta. See here, it is a Greek letter delta. The muscle is divided into unipinnate anterior part. This is unipinnate anterior part and multipinnate middle part, and the anterior and posterior parts are unipinnate and the middle part is multipinnate. See here, the parts of deltoid can act separately or as a whole. When all three parts of the deltoid contract simultaneously, the arm is abducted. Remember this thing. When whole of the deltoid is acting simultaneously or contracting simultaneously, the arm will be abducting, or abduction is the main function. The anterior and the posterior parts, they act like a guy ropes to steady the arm as it is abducted. Okay, so remember this thing. This is a thick muscle, powerful muscle, coarse textured muscle covering the shoulder and forming the rounded contour of the shoulder. See here in this diagram, this is deltoid. Anterior fibers are unipinnate, posterior fibers are also unipinnate, but the middle fibers, they are multipinnate. Okay, what is the origin? It is originated from the lateral third of the clavicle. See here, this is the origin, which is the lateral third of the clavicle and the acromion process and the spine of the scapula. These are three origins of the deltoid. First of all, the lateral third of the clavicle, then the acromion process of the clavicle, acromion process of the scapula, and the spine of the scapula. One part of the clavicle and two parts of the scapula. Lateral third of clavicle, acromion process of scapula, and the spine of the scapula. Then it is inserted over the deltoid tuberosity on the humerus. There is one tuberosity on the middle part of the humerus, which is deltoid tuberosity, which is called as deltoid tuberosity because deltoid is inserted over it. Axillary nerve is the nerve which is innervating the deltoid muscle. There are only two muscles which are supplied by axillary nerve. One is deltoid and other one is teres minor muscle. Remember this thing. This can be asked in Viva exam, and in MCQs it is asked that axillary nerve is supplying deltoid muscle and teres minor muscle. So C5 and C6 is the root value. There are different functions of all parts of the deltoid. First of all, the anterior part, which is originating from the clavicle, it flexes and medially rotates the arm. The acromial or the middle part, it abducts the arm, and the spinal or the posterior part, it extends and laterally rotates the arm. So it is doing flexion, medial rotation of the arm, abduction of the arm, which is the main function, and extension and lateral rotation of the arm also. To initiate the movement during the first 15% of the abduction, the deltoid is assisted by supraspinatus. Remember this thing? First 15% of the abduction is the function of supraspinatus. The deltoid becomes fully effective as an abductor after the initial 15% of the abduction done by the supraspinatus. The anterior and the posterior parts of the deltoids are used to swing the limbs during walking. The anterior part assists the pectoralis major in flexing the arm, and the posterior part assists the latissimus dorsi in extending the arm. So there are two opposite functions. One is flexion. The anterior fibers will do the flexion along with the pectoralis major, and the posterior part will do the extension of the arm along with the latissimus dorsi. The deltoid also helps stabilize the shoulder joint and hold the head of the humerus in the glenoid cavity during the movement of the upper limb, because it is covering the shoulder joint. Okay, it is forming the rounded shape of the shoulder joint, so it is stabilizing the shoulder joint also during the movement of the upper limb. What will happen if there is injury to the axillary nerve? The deltoid atrophy. See here, the deltoid atrophy is when the axillary nerve, which is C5 and C6, is severely damaged because it passes inferior to the humeral head and winds around the surgical neck of the humerus. See here, the axillary nerve will wind around the surgical neck of the humerus. The axillary nerve is usually injured during fracture of this part of the humerus. This is also the most important question of your exam, that which nerve will be damaged when there is a fracture of the surgical neck of the humerus. So this is the axillary nerve which is damaged when there is a fracture of the surgical neck of the humerus. It may also be damaged during dislocation of the shoulder joint and by compression from the incorrect use of the crutches. So in axillary nerve injury, there will be paralysis of the deltoid muscle. As the deltoid atrophy, see here, as the deltoid atrophy is the rounded contour of the shoulder is flattened compared to the uninjured side. This gives the shoulder a flattened appearance and produces a slight hollow inferior to the acromion process. Here, there will be a small hollow. In addition to the atrophy of the deltoid, a loss of sensation may occur over the lateral side of the proximal part of the arm, because this area, which is the lateral side of the proximal part of the arm, it is supplied by superior lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm, which is the cutaneous branch of the axillary nerve. So here there will be loss of sensation on which part? On the proximal part of the lateral side of the proximal part of the arm, because it is supplied by superior lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm, which is the branch of the axillary nerve. The deltoid is the common site for the intramuscular injection of the drugs. Okay, you should know this thing. In exam, they will ask you what is the muscle in which intramuscular injection is given. So deltoid is a common muscle of the arm in which the intramuscular injection of drug is given. The axillary nerve runs transversely under the cover of the deltoid at the level of the surgical neck of the humerus. So awareness of its location, that where the axillary nerve is present, it also avoids the injury to it during the surgical approach to the shoulder. We should know that where is surgical neck of the humerus, because along or binding around the surgical neck of the humerus there is axillary nerve. So while giving injection or while surgery, we should know the location so that the axillary nerve should not be damaged. Number 2 muscle is supraspinatus. Can you see here this muscle? This is supraspinatus muscle. Why it is named as supraspinatus? Because it is above the spine of the scapula. Supra means above and spinatus is the spine of the scapula. There is one fossa which is above the spine of the scapula, which is called as supraspinous fossa, and there is one fossa which is below the spine of the scapula. It is named as infraspinous fossa. So the supraspinatus is named because it is present or originated from the supraspinous fossa of the scapula, and it is inserted over the superior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. Can you see here? This is the greater tubercle of the humerus. There are three muscles which which are attached to the greater tubercle. One is attached to the superior facet, then the second one to the middle facet, and the third one to the inferior facet. Okay, so this supraspinatus is attached to the superior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. It is supplied by suprascapular nerve, which is having the root value C4, C5 and C6. It initiate and assist the deltoid in the abduction of the arm and act with the rotator cuff muscle. This supraspinatus will abduct up till first 15 degrees of the abduction of the arm. Okay, so originated from the supraspinous fossa, inserted over the superior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus, supplied by the suprascapular nerve, and doing the first 15 degrees of the abduction of the arm. Now the infraspinatus muscle. See here, infraspinatus, because it is below the spine of the scapula, it is originated from the infraspinous fossa of the scapula, and it is inserted over the middle facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. On the superior facet, there was supraspinatus. On the middle facet, there is infraspinatus, and it is also supplied by the suprascapular nerve. It will laterally rotate the arm and act with the rotator cuff muscle. In this diagram, you can see here, this is supraspinatus tendon inserted over the superior facet of the greater tubercle, and these are the fibers of the infraspinatus which are inserted over the middle facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. These two muscles, they are supplied by suprascapular nerve. Now the fourth muscle, which is teres minor muscle, we have discussed deltoid, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and now the teres minor muscle. See here, this is teres minor muscle. It is originated from the middle part of the lateral border of the scapula. See here, this is the lateral border of the scapula, and teres minor is originated from the middle part of the lateral border of the scapula. Okay, and it is inserted on the inferior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. So we have discussed three muscles. Number one was supraspinatus, then infraspinatus, and then teres minor muscle, which are inserted over the greater tubercle of the humerus. In exam, they can ask you what are the three muscles which are inserted over the greater tubercle of the humerus. So answer is supraspinatus on the superior facet, infraspinatus on the middle facet, and teres minor on the inferior facet on the greater tubercle of the humerus. Okay, I have told before also that axillary nerve is the nerve which is supplying two muscles in the arm. Number one is deltoid and number two is teres minor muscle. It is laterally rotating the arm and act as a rotator cuff muscle. This action is also very important. It will be asked in your MCQ that teres minor laterally rotate the arm. It is supplied by axillary nerve. It is inserted on the inferior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. It is originated from the lateral border of the scapula. This lateral is also very important. Lateral border of the scapula. Now the fifth muscle, teres major muscle. Teres major muscle, it is originated from the posterior surface of the inferior angle of the scapula. See here, it is originating from the inferior angle of the scapula, covering the lower part of the lateral border of the scapula, and it is inserted over the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus of the humerus. I have told you before in other presentations also that intertubercular sulcus of the humerus means a sulcus which is in between the greater and the lesser tubercle of the humerus. That's why it is named as intertubercular, between two tubercles. There are three parts of intertubercular sulcus: the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus, the floor, and the lateral lip. On the lateral lip, pectoralis major was inserted. On the floor, latissimus dorsi was inserted, and on the medial lip now the teres major is inserted. Remember this thing, this teres major is inserted on the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus. Okay, there are two majors in between the latissimus dorsi, pectoralis major and teres major, and in between is the latissimus dorsi. What is the nerve which is supplying teres major? It is lower subscapular nerve. Lower subscapular nerve. It is adducting and medially rotating the arm. Teres minor was laterally rotating the arm. It is medially rotating the arm. Deltoid was abducting adducting, supraspinatus was abducting, but teres major is adducting the arm. It is adducting the arm. Okay, now the sixth muscle, which is the last muscle of the scapulohumeral region, it is subscapularis. Can you see here on the anterior surface of the scapula? This is subscapularis muscle. Okay, it's originated from the subscapular fossa. There is one big fossa which is on the anterior surface of the scapula. This subscapularis is inserted on the lesser tubercle of the humerus. There are two tubercles on the humerus. One is lesser tubercle, one is greater tubercle. On greater tubercle, we have studied three muscles which were attached. One was supraspinatus, then infraspinatus, and then teres minor muscle. Then there was intertubercular sulcus. We have studied three muscles which are inserted over the intertubercular sulcus. One is pectoralis major, which is on the lateral lip, then latissimus dorsi in the floor, and medial lip we have teres major muscle. Then on the lesser tubercle, last thing we are supposed to study in this presentation, that which muscle is inserted over the lesser tubercle. It is subscapularis. Subscapularis is the muscle which is inserted over the lesser tubercle of the humerus. What is the nerve which is supplying the subscapularis? It is upper and lower subscapular nerve. Teres major was supplied only by lower subscapular, but the subscapularis, it is supplied by upper and lower subscapular. It is medially rotating the arm and part of the rotator cuff muscle. It helps holding the head of the humerus in the glenoid cavity. Okay, subscapularis. See here in this diagram also, this is subscapularis muscle. Now the rotator cuff muscles. Out of these six muscles, four muscles are the rotator cuff muscles. Okay, so four of the scapulohumeral muscles or intrinsic shoulder muscles are the rotator cuff muscle. What are those four muscles? Number one is supraspinatus. Number two is infraspinatus. Number three is teres minor. And number four is subscapularis. So can you see here the first letter of each muscle? S from supraspinatus, I from infraspinatus, T from teres minor, and again S from subscapularis means sits muscle. So first letter of every muscle is taken and they will constitute the sits muscle. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. They are named as rotator cuff muscles because they form a musculotendinous rotator cuff around the shoulder joint. All except the supraspinatus are the rotators of the humerus. The infraspinatus is a rotator, teres minor is a rotator, and subscapularis is a rotator. Beside being part of the rotator cuff, initiate and assist the deltoid in first 15% of the abduction. This point is very, very important, that supraspinatus is not a rotator, but it is the abductor of first 15 degrees of the abduction of the arm, and it is assisting the deltoid in abduction. Other three, which are infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis, they are rotators. See here in this diagram, this is subscapularis, this is supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor muscle. They are forming the rotator cuff around the shoulder joint. That's why they are named as rotator cuff muscles or sits muscles. See here in this diagram, this is the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Okay, and there are four muscles which are forming the rotator cuff. This is supraspinatus, this is infraspinatus, and this is teres minor muscle, and this is subscapularis muscle. So they will all around, they will wind around, or they will form a rotator cuff around the shoulder joint. That's why they are named as rotator cuff muscles. And see here, sits, S-I-T-S, sits muscle. Again in this diagram, they have shown the rotator cuff, okay, with fingers. Thumb is for the subscapularis, then index finger for supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. These three muscles, they are inserted over the greater tubercle, on the superior facet, on the middle facet, and on the inferior facet, and subscapularis on the lesser tubercle. See here, and in between the lesser and the greater tubercle, there is intertubercular sulcus. On the lateral lip, there will be pectoralis major. On the medial lip, there will be teres major, and in the floor, there will be latissimus dorsi. So these are the insertions of all muscles. But in this slide, we have to study four muscles, which are subscapularis on the lesser tubercle, supraspinatus on the superior facet, infraspinatus on the middle facet, and teres minor on the inferior facet of the greater tubercle. There can be rotator cuff injuries. Injury or disease may damage the musculotendinous rotator cuff, producing the instability of the shoulder joint. Trauma may tear or rupture one or more tendons of the sits muscles, or there can be degenerative tendonitis of the rotator cuff is common, especially in the older people. So this was the lecture about the rotator cuff muscles or the scapulohumeral muscles, which are 6 muscles, and out of those 6 muscles, 4 muscles are rotator cuff muscles. I hope you understand. Thank you very much.